FPL Game Week 4 Team Selection. What is up everyone, how's it going? FPL Era here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. The international break has finally come to an end. I was at the Viva Stadium on Saturday with thanks to Intersport Celebrities for the Ireland against England game. Then I also put myself through the 90 minutes against Greece on Tuesday night. Very bad viewing on both occasions, and all I can say is thankfully we've got FPL back in our lives this weekend. In today's video I'm going to show you how I fared out in Game Week 3 in what seems so long ago, and we're also going to look at my transfer plans and team selection ahead of the Game Week 4 deadline. I have two transfers used, my first hit of the season has been taken, lots to discuss, let's get into the video. So before we get into today's video, quick reminder as always to drop the video a like, and let's hit a like goal of 80 likes on this video. So head on down there, give the video a like, and if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, or if this is your first time coming across the channel, first off, welcome to the channel, but you know what to do, head on down there, click subscribe, turn on those notifications. We are on the road to 10k subs, hopefully we can get there this season, and with your support we definitely can. So looking back at the Game Week 3 review, I managed to score 80 points of the week, which is a lovely score for the team. Also meant I got a nice big green arrow and I went from 1.5 million to 1 million overall. We're getting very close to being inside the top 1 million mark, and hopefully then we can push on and get close to the top 100k spot before Christmas. Looking back at the Game Week 3 review then, we'll start out with the main man up front, Erling Haaland. Another hat-trick, his second consecutive hat-trick in a row, 34 points from the armband. No player in the history of the Premier League has gotten 3 consecutive hat-tricks. Can he do it this weekend? Brentford at home, the way Haaland is going at the moment, you definitely wouldn't rule that out. Everything he's touching is turning into goals. Moving on to the two new signings, unfortunately Consa and Rodgers both drew a blank away to Leicester. Consa's clean sheet was wiped out late on when Leicester grabbed himself a consolation. Was pretty annoyed with that. Consa was on for 2 bonus points, so it would have been an 8-point return from the new signing. And then Rodgers, to be fair to him, he was pretty unlucky. He did set up Watkins on a few occasions when Watkins probably should have scored, so we'll be keeping faith in him over the next couple of weeks. Also with Rodgers, he did take a penalty for the English under-21s over the international break, and he put it away very well, so maybe there's a slight chance he'd take the penalty for Aston Villa, but we're going to have to keep a close eye on that. Going through the rest of the team, I kept faith in Eze and Isak last week, and finally they repaid the fate. Eze picked up a goal against Chelsea and came away with all bonus points for a 10-point haul, and then Isak picked up the winner against Spurs to come away with 9 points. If you watch my videos over the last couple of weeks, I kept saying to keep Eze. He was very unlucky not to score in the first game. He got a perfectly good free kick ruled out. He hit the bar in Game Week 2, and thankfully he came up with the goods in Game Week 3 with that double-digit haul. With Isak, we were probably very fortunate to get that goal. Spurs were piling on the pressure, and then Newcastle came away with a counter-attacking goal, and thankfully Isak was on the end of it. Saka continued his consistent run of form when he picked up an assist in the first half for Kai Havertz's opener against Brighton, and with Declan Rice picking up a red card early on in the second half, that was always going to affect the chances of my Gabriel clean sheet, and Brighton got themselves an equaliser, and that meant Gabriel blanked. Trent made it 3 clean sheets in the first 3 games. He did have a goal ruled out at Old Trafford also. Not sure how he hasn't returned on the attacking front in the first 3 opening games. All I can say is attacking return is coming sooner rather than later. So if you don't have Trent in your team, definitely make it a priority of bringing him in, especially with Nottingham Forest at home this weekend. Unfortunately, Jota and Smith Rowe both drew themselves a blank in their games respectively. I was deciding between Smith Rowe or playing Wood last weekend. Unfortunately, I did play Smith Rowe over Wood. Wood managed to get himself a goal and all 3 bonus points for a 9-point return, so that's probably 7 points lost there, but we won't dwell on that too much. It was good to see Henderson pick up 4 points as well after he did concede against Chelsea. He made a nice few saves against Chelsea, so it was good to see the 4 points from him. 80 points of the week. It was nice to get the green arrow also as well. I'm now sitting at 1 million overall. Let's move on now and start planning ahead of the Game Week 4 deadline. So looking at the clean sheet odds ahead of the weekend's games, Liverpool top the charts with a 50% chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to Nottingham Forest this weekend. I've already spoke about Trent. If you don't have him in your team, make it a priority to get him in along with his attacking threat. Liverpool have been very solid in the opening 3 weeks, 3 clean sheets in 3, and I'm expecting another clean sheet at home to Nottingham Forest this weekend, and it won't be long before Trent grabs himself a double-digit haul also. Man City then following second with a 49% chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to Brentford, so there's going to be a lot of Rico Lewis new owners that'll be hoping for a clean sheet and maybe even an attacking return like he did against West Ham last week. And then Brighton finish off the top 3 with a 45% chance of keeping a clean sheet at home to Ipswich. It's decent viewing for my own back 3 and my goalkeeper. Aston Villa, Arsenal, Liverpool and Crystal Palace all rank in the top 3, so there's some good chance I get some clean sheet points this weekend, and fingers crossed we do. Let's move on now and have a look at the predicted points ahead of Game Week 4. Moving on to predicted points, who else but Erling Haaland tops the charts with a predicted point score of 10.6 points at home to Brentford this weekend. 2 consecutive hat-tricks over the last 2 game weeks, 7 goals in the opening 3 games, making an absolute mockery of non-Haaland owners. Can he get a hat-trick this weekend? As I said earlier, no player in the history of the Premier League has made a 3 consecutive hat-tricks, and the form Erling is in at the moment, you definitely wouldn't rule out those chances. Mo Salah follows closely behind him with a predicted point score of 10.1 points at home to Nottingham Forest this weekend. I forgot to mention it earlier, but as I ranked around the 600 to 500k mark before that Man United game at Old Trafford, I was hoping for a Salah blank, and that Salah 17 pointer put me back down to the million mark. So I have to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to get Salah into the team this week, but he definitely has been hurting my rank over the last few weeks. Diaz finishes off the top three, another man in form up against Nottingham Forest at home. You wouldn't rule out a return from him in the form he's in at the moment. Looking through the rest of the predicted points for my own team, it's okay viewing Jota and Trent make it in for my own team then as well. So hopefully those Liverpool lads can return well this weekend. Let's move on now and have a look at my transfer plans ahead of the deadline this weekend. So looking at my transfer plans ahead of the GAMEWEEK 4 deadline, this transfer on screen has been made. I made it early before the international games. It was a small bit of a risk, but I had to act fast, otherwise I would have lost 0.3 of a million, maybe even 0.4 with the second transfer that I did make. Bukayo Saka has left the team, might be a small bit harsh, but he had to fund Salah. Saka's done well in the opening 3 games, 24 points from those games, returned in every game, but it hasn't been enjoyable not owning Salah. 3 double-digit hauls for Salah over the last 3 games, 41 points from Salah. I'm just glad to have the Egyptian King back in my team. The main reason why I did bring him in is for the captaincy as well. When Haaland has Arsenal next week, I can captain Salah at home to Bournemouth. And yeah, I can breathe a sigh of relief now. He's been affecting my rank massively over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully he can get a nice return against Forest this weekend. So in order to afford Salah, it meant I had to free up some funds, and that means this transfer on screen has already been made. I've taken my first hit of the season. 2 transfers have been used. Isak has made his way out of my team, and João Pedro has come into my starting 11. With Isak, I might be a small bit harsh getting rid of him. He did return against Southampton when Newcastle were down to 10 men. Fair enough, he blanked in game week 2 when Newcastle were very poor away to Bournemouth, and then he did get that 9-pointer against Spurs last week. He's up against Wolves this weekend. That's a fixture I'm fully prepared Isak to do well in. Bringing in Salah was a priority, and João Pedro as Isak's replacement isn't a bad replacement at all. Pedro's in great form this season. He's up against Ipswich at home this weekend, and then at home to Forest in game week 5, so no complaints there, and then I can get rid of him if I do consider using my wildcard in game week 6. When making my transfers week by week, especially during international breaks, I always try and stay put and wait until after the international games are over, but in this case I had to move fast. João Pedro and Salah both were rising in price. Isak was falling, so I've saved about 0.3, maybe even 0.4 if João Pedro or Salah rise again before the weekend. With João Pedro then as well, I didn't like to see him at all getting called up to the Brazil squad late on. Thankfully he got through 45 minutes against Paraguay on Wednesday, and by the time this video is out he should be back in Brighton and ready for the Ipswich game this weekend. So looking at my lineup ahead of the GAMEWEEK 4 deadline, starting off on goals, there's no changes between the sticks. Henderson is up against Leicester at home this weekend. Crystal Palace have been pretty disappointing over the opening few weeks. Thankfully he did get a 4-pointer against Chelsea last weekend after he did pick up a few save points. With Crystal Palace, they did make a few new signings over the transfer window. Trevor Chalobah and Lacroix will be added into that Crystal Palace defence. You'd be expecting them to be a bit more solid in defence, and hopefully we might get a clean sheet from Henderson this weekend and make it the first one of the season. Moving on to the back three, we're in good shape ahead of the weekend's games with Konsa at home to Everton, Trent at home to Forest, and Gabriel away to Spurs in the North London derby. We'll start off with Trent. He picked himself up an assist against Finland on Tuesday night for England. I'm still not sure how he hasn't gotten an attacking return this season. Easily could have returned against Ipswich, only for Jota not having his shooting boots on. Should have scored against Brentford and had a goal ruled out for offside against United last week. His attacking return is coming. I'm predicting it to be this weekend, but I will be happy if he just comes away with a clean sheet. Any return is good here. Next up is Konsa, and Villa are fourth favourite for the chance of a clean sheet this weekend. They're up against an Everton side who have started the campaign very poorly this season. The only thing encouraging about Konsa losing his clean sheet last weekend was the fact he was on for 2 bonus points. So if Villa can come away with their first clean sheet of the season, fingers crossed Konsa can get amongst the bonus points too. Gabriel completes my back three, and he's up against Spurs in the North London derby this weekend, with Rice suspended and Odegaard probably set to be sidelined for that game this weekend with an injury he suffered over the international break. I'm not that confident of an Arsenal clean sheet, but with Gabriel there's always a chance of an attacking return. Moving on to my midfield, I'm keeping the 3-5-2 formation this weekend, and it's great to see my 5-man midfield all of fixtures at home. Starting off with the new signing Mo Salah. He has got 3 double-digit returns in his first 3 games. He's been affecting my rank massively, so it's great to have the Egyptian King back in the team, and we'll be looking out closely for a return. His attacking partner, Diogo Jota, did play 90 minutes in Portugal's last game against Scotland, but that was on Sunday, so he's got plenty of time to recover for the Forest game on Saturday. On to Morgan Rogers then. We're still waiting for the budget enabler's return. Hopefully Ollie Watkins can have his shooting boots on this weekend. There's whispers amongst the FPL community whether or not Rogers is going to be on penalties for Villa. He did slot his penalty for the under-21s away very nicely, so maybe there's a slight chance he might be on penalties, but I can't see Ollie Watkins giving up the chance if Villa do get one, and Ollie Watkins to get on the mark for the season. It was the right decision to keep Eze in the team last weekend for his goal against Chelsea, and one of the main reasons why I kept him in the team was for this Leicester fixture this weekend. He's Palace's main man on set pieces, on penalties, on corners, whatever you like. I'm expecting Eze to get a return this weekend. Smith Rowe completes my 5-man midfield up against West Ham this weekend. Fair enough, he did draw a blank in game week 3. Slightly concerning that he is continued to be taken off around the 60 to 70 minute mark, but hopefully he can get a return before he's hauled off this weekend. Erling Haaland and my new signing João Pedro complete my starting 11 by the time this video is released on Thursday morning. João Pedro should be safely back in Brighton after his 13-hour flight home from the international break. 2 goals in 3 games for the Brazilian, and he's up against Ipswich at home this weekend, and with the added bonus of being on penalties, I'm expecting a return from the new signing. Erling Haaland gets the captaincy against Brentford at home this weekend. It is a close call between him and Mo Salah, but Haaland is in red hot form at the moment with 7 goals in 3 games, and I'm expecting at least 2 returns from the big man up front. If you've made it to the end of this video, please give it a like, drop a comment below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's hit a like goal of 80 likes on this video. If you are still watching and you're not subscribed, head on down there, click subscribe. We're on the road to 10k subs, and with your support we can get there this season. I'll see you all on Saturday afternoon for a deadline stream before the Game Week 4 deadline. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.